What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of Palangi's Studio of Rock, only here on Radio Wigwam. Shout out to our supporters today for Alyssa Ebersold Concert Photography. We have Envious Music Magazine and Melissa Harding, Vocal Coach Extraordinaire. So if you need concert photos, band reviews, to some vocal training and health, all three right there. Triple threat. Today we have Ryan Cook in the building. No relation to David Cook, I think.
Right.
He is.
Great.
What's going on, man?
Man, I'm just here in Nashville getting ready to leave with Ace day after tomorrow. And I'm so happy to be talking to you. And we just have to tell everybody what happened. I was 20 minutes late. I got the Eastern time and Central time mixed up. So
that is the traditional rocker formula. We all know it well.
Yeah.
Hey, you might know him. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. Now, we first met here in Hudson Falls, New York. I interviewed David Nestor, who's been on the program, and then we got to be friends, and we got to go backstage. I met all you guys, and I've interviewed your whole band, well, except for Matt, and now I got you.
Great.
So
I love it.
The three of us were supposed to be together, Derek and Jeremy and you and I. That would have been cool.
It would have been great. And, because you've been so patient and nice and everything. Because we tried to schedule this a couple weeks ago, and then I had to leave town a couple times. So, because that's how it was originally going to be, the three of us, right?
Yeah. I figured it'd be interesting. I've never had three guests. I've had two here and there, but
have you ever herded cats?
The band or the movie?
No, I said, have you ever had to herd cats?
Oh no,
it would be like with three people.
Oh, okay. Like three. We were talking about teaching guitar lessons. You know what I mean? It'd be like three young students in the building.
Even worse.
I know you guys together backstage and stuff. You have a certain way of communicating. Let's call it. You know what I mean? And when you're on stage and stuff like that, let me tell you right now, you guys are the four of you are very, very solid together.
Oh, thank you, man.
And when Derek and stuff told me that you guys don't necessarily rehearse with Ace, be right before a gig or something like that, I was like, man, that's like how do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you what. That just goes being said. The one thing that I pride myself on, and I know I can speak for the guys, is just always do your homework. Always do your homework before you get there, because you have to. Most situations you walk into, a lot of them don't have rehearsals. Like usually, if you've never played with someone before, you'll get together and do a rehearsal. But then after that, it's up to you to know what you need to know by the time you get there. And sound check is usually when you run through stuff. Derek, we have to give a special shout out to, though, because Derek is not in the band.
Oh, okay.
Derek was in Ace's band over a decade ago. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Situations where we had to get a sub for Philip or Zach, and Ace reached out to Derek. So Derek really came in not rehearsing with us at all, man. We would
playing
really
bass.
Playing bass. So we would go over the whole set at sound check with him, and to his credit, he was a trooper and did his homework. He knew everything, and he's a nice guy too. We really enjoy playing with him.
He lives like, I think he said 3.5 hours from me or something like that. He's like, if you're ever in my area, let me know.
Yeah. And that was part of, honestly, aside from his awesome skill set, that was what also played into him subbing for those few shows. It was all proximity. It was kind of a change, and Ace was like, man, I bet Derek could do this, and he's close by, and
he's got that chemistry going on already. And, it's not like somebody totally new. And because I'd be like, if I stepped in, especially bass guitar, I mean, I love guitar, but you're like, I've never played with Ace before. And you know what I mean? You can get that band chemistry, but
Yeah. And part of the thing also with bass is, you're a guitar player and also guitar player and an instructor and stuff. You have to admit, though, that, if you can play a song guitar, you can translate it to bass, but it's a different animal. Some people think it's just this another guitar with 4 strings, which it is. But you have to approach the songs differently with bass. And you're all of a sudden you're jumping into a new onstage relationship with the drummer.
Exactly. Yeah, because some of the hits don't align with the guitars. Some styles are different between bands.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I
So
know.
Anyway, Derek was just great and good dude.
And I was talking to Jeremy, and the
Yep.
funniest thing he said out of that whole interview was he records kitchen guitar. He records in his kitchen on a table. I was
Isn't that
like,
crazy?
what? He goes, oh, I did that for the Ace record there too. And I
Yeah,
was just
man.
like,
Isn't that crazy how you can do that? I mean,
it's,
just the way technology is now. Yeah, though he really does though. He had his Kemper,
yep,
and we have Logic, which is a program like Pro Tools installed on our laptops and whatnot.
yep.
And we had a little this unit called the Presonus that is an interface that acts between your computer and your Kemper, and you go right in and record just like that. There
Modern
you
day technology. Well, it enables you to be like, you don't always have to fly out to those big studios. They can take the dry signal, all you
Absolutely.
guitar and tech
Yep.
guys out there, and reamp the signal through that gear. So all the
Yep.
amps that you guys may have brought to the session, you'd be like,
Yep.
we'll just reamp it.
You can reamp it. If you just all you do is you send what's called a direct signal, and bam, you're in.
Yep. That's what I
It's
like to
great.
talk about a little bit in my show too, is getting into gear and a little
Yeah,
bit more of like the recording side, because I feel
sure.
like a lot of people on programs and stuff, they focus on kind of like what artists are doing, and I mean we talk a lot about backgrounds and stuff too,
Of
but
course.
it's that gear stuff that I noticed you did an interview. We had a guy come over to your place and you talked about your guitars that you had.
Marty Schwartz,
Yes, and he does a lot of cover videos where he's playing all
man.
these songs.
And Marty, just God, that was probably 4 years ago, at least when I did that with Marty when he was here. And his
Okay.
program, ready, big, and well known. It is done so well and it's grown exponentially. He is now officially on board with the Gibson Epiphone team in the
Wow.
sense that it's not their show, so to say, but they have him in to do so many videos and talk with so many artists. And Marty is the nicest guy. It's Marty Schwartz, if anybody wants to look him up. He's got his own YouTube channel and Instagram, and just really, and anybody that's a music fan will go on there, and I guarantee you they're going to recognize one of their favorite players talking to Marty on his show.
Yeah, because I actually didn't know he interviewed people. Because every time I
Yeah,
type in like, how do you play like Welcome to the Jungle, like his video will
yeah,
come up.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay. Well, I noticed that we're Pig Hog brothers here. We're both a part of Pig Hog Cables. How did
Yep.
you find them?
Skid Row, the guy
Okay.
Skid Row. So there's a really sweet girl, lady who's a rep at Pig Hog named Michelle Davis. You know Michelle?
Yes, I do. Yep, she calls me every once in a while.
Great. So I was introduced to Michelle. We've never met in person. I was introduced to Michelle via Skid Row. Those guys are some of my dearest and best friends, and Rachel is right down the street. He's just not far from me
Wow.
here in Brentwood. So I see him every day. I'm actually taking care of his cat, so he's out of town right now. But anyway, they
Ugh.
introduced me, and she just was super accommodating and awesome right from the get-go. And man, their cables are great. The Reunion Blues gig bags and stuff are really great. She sent me some stands, guitar stands, that are awesome, and
Yep.
patch cables, and just the whole deal.
The Little Pigs.
Great, yeah, man, great company, and she just seems great.
She I forgot actually. I think I reached out to them, but there was around the time when the COVID hit with the NAM too, and I was in one of the NAM videos. The first time I was ever like a part of NAM,
Oh, right on.
and I was just like, you want me to review like your bags and all that kind of stuff. And let me tell you, I've converted almost, I say 90% of my cables to Pig Hog, and not one of them has died yet. And
Yeah.
it's been a couple years.
Great. You know what? I will concur with you 1,000,000%. All the cables I use are Pig Hog. Everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
And they've been really cool about, keeping me up to speed on their newest stuff and whatever. The only cable that I use that isn't a Pig Hog cable, and I would use if they made it, was the 90-degree angle cable that goes from my wireless pack to my guitar.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's just because obviously that's it's a Shure product.
Okay.
But if they made it, if they decided to make a 5-pin cable like that, I would get it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, because I used Monster cables for a while. I had a couple of them, and I go, these are just as good or even better.
Absolutely,
A
we're on the
lot of
same
them.
page. Yeah.
So
And you know
what?
what they are? I will tell you this: they're more affordable than Monster.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they're always on sale too. Like some type of cable is always on sale. So if you guys wait, I mean, it's not a totally. We are both endorsed by them. It's not a huge plug, but they do support a lot of stuff I do. So I do like to plug them. And I was like,
Like, right?
Ryan's a part of it. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
And you know something? I'll tell you something that I got from them right before we went on tour with Alice Cooper. We went out for 3 months with him as support.
Yep,
I got one of their geared duffel bags. Have you seen those?
I have 3 of them.
Oh, you have three.
Yeah,
Well,
I love it.
one, and it is awesome. And for those who don't know, it's a nice, big, sturdy, heavy duffel bag. It's compartmentalized
Yep,
with pockets, everything for your cables to separate them, pockets for all your earplugs and your picks and your polishing and your strings and the whole deal.
it's got
I love that.
everything.
I love that thing because it's better than just having it in a duffel bag and just throwing all your stuff in there and having to dig through like grandma's purse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for a lot of years, I couldn't find anything like that, and I seen that, I go, "That's perfect." I use one for my camera gear, so I put like a lens in each one and stuff too.
Perfect.
And I'm just
There you
like,
go.
"This is awesome."
Thanks,
So
Michelle. You know,
she's awesome. So thanks everybody. I'm actually doing a Pig Hog takeover on their Instagram the end of February. Going to
right
talk
on.
about some studio stuff and play a couple acoustic songs or something. But
Oh, right on. That's fun.
um, they're really good. Do you use InTune guitar picks as well?
I'm actually with a guy named Carson Randolph, and it's Pick Guy.
Okay,
Pick.
yeah, I've heard of them.
I'll show you something. It's funny as I'm sitting here where I practice. I change the picks up all the time just as I'm a dummy, but my current pick is I'm a big Rocky Balboa fan.
There you go.
So there's this, and then this.
RC Cola.
Yep.
Yep.
Mine. See. So, and it's pretty cool because the reason I put that on there was because on one of my sick guitars, I've got the RC logo decal on my humbuckers.
Ah, okay.
And that looks pretty good. And then the ones I had in December for our Christmas run, I did glow in the dark Snoopy picks.
That's cool. That's cool.
Like this. But I do know Bert Licato over at InTune. Absolutely fantastic people. And InTune's great as well.
He's a great guy too. I think I've known him since 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't do much back then. I was just like getting my first EP done. He's like, "Yeah, we'll have you a part of this," and I was like, "Well, you see some of the artists that are involved."
Isn't it killer?
Yeah, monsters.
Yeah. Good stuff.
What's the difference between playing in Gene Simmons' band and then Ace's band, and knowing that they're both from Kiss, but they both have their own, let's say, solo quirks, and styles that way too. How do you prepare for each?
They are two totally different things. I'll start with Ace since that's the current gig right now.
Yep.
Ace is definitely a creature of habit. Okay. We have just, since this last run, for the first time, we've added several new songs that we haven't played before to this set that's going to be for this tour starting this week. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But that being said, before that, once Ace gets into a set list, we don't change it. It might change a song here or there every once in a while.
Okay.
But he doesn't change it. Once you get out there, we're pretty much certain that we're going to be playing the same set. There's no surprises. With Gene, we never played the same set twice. We changed every night.
Everything, every night. Oh, geez.
And I think Jeremy, who my bandmate and Gene and Ace's band, Jeremy has a running list of everything we play with Gene. And when he reads you the number, it's just ridiculous the amount of songs we did. So many that there's stuff right now that I have forgotten. Gene would also go way deeper. Like when we play with Gene, we would do stuff that Kiss never did. Ever.
So like deep tracks, B-sides. What about unreleased stuff?
Yeah, the first things that come to mind, Got Love for Sale.
Okay.
They've never done that. Like we were doing I and Charisma. See, right now I'm on the spot and I just can't think of other stuff. But
I do have to say what you mentioned, one of the interviews, is that you guys can do the 3-part guitar harmonies, which are in
You know, I got to tell you, it's really true. And I'll give you a perfect example of that is, you know, we love Kiss. I mean, we became friends because of Kiss, and that's not a joke.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what the other guy said. He goes, "It's ingrained in me." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Since we were little kids. So,
Yeah.
that being said, a perfect example of the three guitar thing is you listen to Deuce. Okay. Uh, at the end of Deuce on the studio recording, there's a harmony guitar thing at the end that they're
Okay.
overdubbed over the rhythm guitar. And when you go see Kiss live, Paul kept the rhythm and Ace would do his deal. We actually got to do it the way it was really recorded. And
Nice.
just having it was really weird because so many people were asking, well, why do you need three guitars? And it's like, well, would you rather have $20 or $10? It's like, I mean, it's not like we're talking about adding, you know, a rubber tire to the band. It's another guitar. It's cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good stuff. And there are so many bands out there that actually have done that. And Gene loved it. And it's Gene's band, and he's Gene Simmons, and you're not. And that's why it was cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
He can do what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Was there is there times where you guys are playing three separate like harmony parts and then you come together playing like the same riff, so it sounds like super heavy?
it's, you know what? It's not as much three-part lead parts, but there would definitely be three rhythm parts going on because that was one thing. While our goal was to have one big giant guitar, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we did make a conscious effort to not always be playing the same thing.
Okay. So if one guy's playing like the low E down here going other guy would play the one at the 7th fret
And
maybe and
a high E bar chord or something, while the other guy might be doing an appreciated chimey pick thing in a different E position.
okay, I got you.
Yeah. As Gene, to quote him, says, it's a goddamn guitar symphony. So, you know,
You fill it out sonically. I do know what he means. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got I mean you guys have a range of tones. I know do you still use like the original Marshall type stuff or are you into like the fractals and
No, well, here's what we do. We all went Kemper.
okay.
Okay. And when I was nodding to the original Marshall stuff, the stuff that the three of us agreed upon that we like more than anything, Michael Britt. There's a guy named Michael Britt,
Okay.
and he makes profiles for Kempers. And our favorites between the three of us, hands down, Philip, Jeremy, and myself, were the series of profiles he did that ranged from 1968 Marshall Plexis
Okay.
up through 78 Marshall JCM 800s.
Okay.
And they are like superb and they're fantastic. And the reason that we went to, because we all had the big heavy JCM 800s and the Soldanos and the EVHs and you know what I mean? They're
Well, you
fantastic.
guys used that in Hudson Falls. You had the real deal for Ace.
Tube amps, you know, are awesome. They're the way to go. And there's some great vintage amps. There's some great new amps.
Yep.
But in the situation that we were always doing fly dates. Okay. And when you do fly dates all the time, and it's up to the promoter to rent your backlines, that's what most bands do.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
fly date, one night you'll get a Marshall that's really good, and one night you might get one that's not so good. And we were finding it to be inconsistent. And
Yeah.
with the Kempers, we could go dial in directly and know that every night we would have the exact same guitar sound that we wanted with us. And
Yeah.
that's why we did it. I know there are audiophiles out there that aren't into fractals and Kempers and all that. And man, that's totally fine. I can tell you that I'm not an audiophile and my ear is not so discerning that if I have a really good Kemper profile
Yeah.
versus the same vintage Marshall head, the real thing, I'm not too embarrassed to tell you that I probably will not be able to tell the difference because I feel like my Kemper sounds just as good as a lot of them and better than some people's Marshalls, and people will think the other way. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
a player's preference.
What I noticed too with that stuff is because it's going through the PA system,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds as good as the venue's PA system as well.
Right.
Sometimes. So
Sometimes it does. So
yeah.
what we do is there's a direct out, XLR out
Yeah.
that goes to with your signal. Okay. So your front of house guy can just push up your sound and it's there. There's no EQ, there's nothing that's there. We
Okay.
also uh we use real live cabinets with the Kempers. We like to have air moving.
Okay. There you
So
go.
he will also have a mic on the cabinet. So we're kind of covering it both ways. You have live sound on stage with us. I know a lot of people that use profile amps and stuff have ears and there's no sound on stage. All you hear is drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't do that. We like to have actual live amps up there.
Yeah, because it still adds that you're doing a live show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that you hear actually a lot of that sound on the stage come back into the room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're pushing. We each have two 412 Marshall cabinets as our rig.
Okay.
So
Those are still pretty big and heavy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And again, though,
Yeah.
when we're not traveling alone, that's rented from a backline company, and they
Yeah.
just bring it there. So everybody tries to travel pretty lean these days if you're doing fly dates.
Do you have to do like a power amp with it to get because I know like the Kempers and stuff, there's no wattage in them.
There is now. There is now.
Oh, there is now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's different kind of Kempers. There's the toaster, right?
Okay.
And
I'm a fractal guy, so I'm not really sure Kemper.
Okay, and it's got a power amp in it, as opposed to a rack mount. You'd have to get like a separate power amp in your rack. But
Yep.
The Kemper toaster style, which is that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
There's a
That would
power
be
amp.
cool. So small too.
Yeah, there's a power amp in it.
Wow, and that makes you sound even better.
Oh yeah, man, it's we love them. And I have a couple friends who are really big fractal guys. I know for sure Phil Collin is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's his deal, and
I think Metallica uses fractal. I know 6 a.m. did. I interviewed the singer
DJ?
James. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. He's cool.
Yeah, fractals are great, man. Neil Sean was a fractal guy forever.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's I don't know. It's like a battle between Mac and PC
It is.
sort of thing. They're both equal if you think about it.
Agreed.
What you like to use is the
And
user.
I totally will understand and support anybody that likes one more than the other, because it's like, is AT&T better than Verizon? Everybody's gonna,
Damn close, folks.
yeah, right. But listen, well, they all argue about it. You and I will just have fun playing guitar on stage and let everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. At a certain point, you're like, I just have to turn on this thing, know that this sound is, get my performance right, and practice, and make sure you have a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's
Amen.
I was gonna get into that a little bit too. Is sometimes between like when you're in like Hair of the Dog signing a record label, deal, and then maybe being more of an indie artist level, sometimes there's a lot of pressure, but that stuff can kind of get in the way. Even certain managers, like if you had a bad manager micromanaging everything, you can just feel nervous all the time, and it affects your performance, I think.
It does. It does. That's a whole other thing. The whole label thing. We were on Spitfire when I was in Hair of the Dog that you mentioned. And that label at the time was a hard rock label. It was Zakk Wylde, Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper, Dio, Black Label Society, Motorhead, Enough's Enough.
Awesome.
All that kind of thing. But even though we were with a good stable of artists, it was similar to Wheelhouse. It was a small label, and it didn't afford all of the, whatever you want to say, perks that maybe a major label deal would have gotten you, like with Atlantic Records or something.
Yeah.
But we a deal from them, and you work with what is offered to you and what you can make happen and that kind of stuff. But you were just talking about things going on. There were certain, and they were great. Paul Bebo and Rob Gill and all those guys were just so awesome at the label. I just talked to Gill a couple of days ago. He was our radio promo guy.
Okay. Is that label still around?
It's Eagle Rock Entertainment. Spitfire has been gone for a while.
Okay.
They were under the Eagle Rock Entertainment umbrella, which is European, and they're massive.
Okay.
I mean, they're just massive. They're doing great. But anyway, I've talked to some guys, and you're just talking about labels and it affecting your performance. There's some days, if you're with a label you don't prefer or a management or something, it kind of feels like you wake up and just get kicked in the balls first thing every morning, and you're just like, man, you know,
Put in your place all the time.
it can be hard. It can be
Uh,
it can be a grind, and you're not supposed to work music. You're supposed to play music, and I always kind of try to remember that. But having yourself surrounded by the right group of people is so helpful to, like you said, that moment when you get on stage and you know that everything's going really well.
yeah. Or what I say is you have quote unquote an asshole on your side,
Mm-hmm.
so you can talk to those other people. Because
Yep.
like for me, I'm like I'm not that way. Like anyone that comes forward and they start talking, I kind of shut down a little bit because I'm like I'm easy going, and
Yep.
so I'm like I kind of need somebody to do that for me,
Yep.
to be that bad
You know
guy.
what? That's that's been commonly described as good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yep,
I get it. I get it. Man, that's what really good managers are for sometimes, because you can speak to them candidly about what's working and not working for you, and it's their job to go deal with whoever you're dealing with to make it work for you.
What advice would you give, let's say, indie artists of nowadays and stuff? We're talking about the labels and the managers, and
Yeah.
any advice specifically that you it comes to mind,
Oh,
maybe to
nothing
watch
more.
watch
I
out
feel like,
for.
yeah. Let's just go ahead and assume if they're at that level, because the most important thing is, being good at your craft, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's assume, since you're there, that you're already good at that. You got that taken care of. Okay. Uh, do yourselves a favor and learn as much as you can about publishing.
okay,
Hang on to your own publishing as long as you can. Nothing beats the value of a copyright.
yeah,
There,
that's
sometimes,
true.
sometimes there's a song that may have been written 20 years ago, and nothing's gone on with it, and then all of a day, one a sudden, it's Tim McGraw cuts it, or it ends up in a Honda commercial, or whatever. And that's what I mean by nothing beats the value of a copyright. Just because it's not doing something for you right now doesn't mean that it can't do something for you great later.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Knowing publishing and copyright is a really, really important thing. And that's the age old story that goes clear back to when this whole music business started, of managers or people taking advantage of that because people just didn't know what they were giving up their rights to. Um,
yeah. Go back to Sunset Records. They didn't
anything,
own nothing.
right?
He's like, here's a car.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
all you
Take
got.
this Cadillac,
Yeah,
not knowing. Yeah, I know.
not knowing they
Also,
had to make payments on it.
yeah,
Oh, or pay insurance.
or anything. Also, is I would say this whole industry is based on relationships, big time, and try to genuinely make relationships that people that you want to align yourself with. And the selfish thing, that the way to look at it is like, well, who can I meet that's going to help me? But also, I think it's important to find someone that's like-minded, so they see that you can actually help each other, which is going to make you want to work equally hard. Like, you're going to want to work really hard to help get that label deal, and they're really going to work hard to get you that deal because they think that you can deserve it.
Yeah, yeah,
Just be wary of people who are full of shit and people who aren't.
yeah.
And you have to have a good bullshit detector,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of lip service, and I would say just be really careful who you align yourself with, and hopefully it's someone that has the best interest in each other. It goes both ways.
Yeah, because it's I guess I call them gung ho artists that just want to jump right into it. I've interviewed a few that said, "No, my first deal, I just signed it without a lawyer and everything. I wanted to do it, so I did it." And I'm like, I don't even
I
know if they
I
own
understand,
it.
yeah, I understand the excitement of that, and I don't think anything bad about someone who's done that. I think more people have probably done that didn't. But
Yeah, yeah,
but it's like, the kind word of advice is just, it is very important to take the time and really understand what you're getting yourself into when you sign with somebody.
it's funny because I've always been that way of take more time And
Yeah.
a lot of times they want an answer right then and there now. Like nobody has any patience and stuff anymore. And I'm like, this is a contract, especially with a career.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
you need a second to stop and think about it, or you need a second to contact other people and ask them questions about it.
I've starred in that movie about, and it wasn't necessarily a label deal,
Okay.
but I heard somebody say something one time that I have used over and over. When you're dealing with something that important and you know that they want what you have, right?
Yeah.
And they're pressuring you, like you said, a really good response is, do you want a really fast no, a longer maybe? Which do you want? Because you have to know this second, it's no. And they want something that you have. Say, but do you want a really quick no or a longer maybe? Let
Yeah.
me think about it. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
It is fair. Yeah.
So
Usually there's a hidden agenda. If they want something like right then, they're like, nope, nope. If you don't say yes, then it's usually not legit.
yeah, agreed. I agree 1,000,000%.
Yep.
Yeah, come on, man. As much as we love it, it's the music business. It's shady.
Yeah. It's always say, I guess the best word of advice that my friend gave me when I was 15 recording my first demo is, Frank, it's 50% music, 50% business. And for some reason that has never gone away. And I try to tell people, so out there, whoever's listening, I guess that's my best advice with that. And yeah, you just got to be really careful.
It is called music business,
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. What kind of food and diet do you do between touring and off touring here?
So what
I'm
I've been doing,
Italian, so
so okay. Let me just start off by saying, if I could eat pizza and tacos every day, I would.
oh yeah.
But no, I'm good about it. I exercise regularly, and I really do try to watch what I eat. I try not to do fast food.
Yeah.
I do the intermittent fasting thing 2 days a week,
Okay.
and that's been really good for me, along with the exercise that I do every day. It's also, and what's funny with the intermittent fasting is it really changed everything. Is the way that I kind of eat all day, every day now.
Okay. Was that like smaller? You're talking about not eating like half like
Well, what it is with the internet fasting, I got this one that's a smoothie thing.
oh,
And
okay. Okay.
you want 8, 10, 12:30, 2:30, 5 and 6. Okay. And that's for 2 days a week. It can be 2 days in a row, it can be 2 days apart, it can be whatever.
So you have like 6 smoothies a day in
Yeah.
that day? Wow.
And they're small. They're these
Oh.
they come pre-made in
Yep.
these bags, like the stuff that runners use.
Yeah, yep.
And I use those. And then you can still have your drinks and stuff and everything that day, but then I just got used to it. And I noticed, as far as, it's harder for me to do that on the road. I will tell you, eating on the road is hard. And I do try to eat better, but the late night after show pizza thing every single night, I don't do it anymore. Every once in a
I
while,
think we had pizza backstage. I seen you grab a slice.
every time we walk backstage, there's a big box of pizzas from the promoter.
Yeah.
Love
It's funny because you don't want to say you want to say thank you, but at the same time you're like, I can't eat that.
not every night. And
Yeah.
listen, every guy that I work with is gonna watch this and go, dude, I've seen him eat fucking pizza after a show, and I have. But it's
Yeah.
just like eating the whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's just, age has something to do with it too. It's like, as I got older, it's just I just eat differently.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I try to be healthy about it.
Yeah. That's the weirdest thing that I guess I'm trying to get used to now with like, all you eat too much dairy, you have mucus, and because I know you're a guitar player, you do, some backup vocals and stuff, but as a lead singer type thing, I feel like it's so much more pressure. I was like, if I just played freaking guitar, I'd probably eat ice cream every day.
Yeah. No, I get it. I've done that because I've been the lead singer.
Oh,
And I totally get it. That's one of the things I still don't do, though. I don't have big meals before a show. I can't.
yeah, I can't either.
It's too heavy. So
Afterwards, you're like, I love the
There's pizza.
feeling you can eat everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Until you can't. But
Yeah.
it must be nice though, because sometimes they ask you like, what do you want? And you could say,
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
give me like a chicken salad or something.
Absolutely. We've been treated great. Like, when there's always catering, and everything, craft service, that kind of stuff, we always know ahead of time. We always get options, menu
Yeah.
options, and you
Yep.
can pick. So what I'll generally do is take that food and save it for after show.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So that's a little easier on us, but it's all good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll have some pizza this week.
I know it was funny because I was like, you guys, I know you guys are going back on tour, and David's going back to do drum tech for you
Yep,
guys too. And
yep, yep.
I'm like, that's cool. I go, so next time you guys come back to Hudson Falls, well, I'll have to do the same thing here. I'll have to stop by.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll hang
absolutely.
out.
You're always welcome to stop by
I was like,
anywhere.
we were hanging out for, I don't know. I think you came in a little later, but I was there at
Mhm.
least, 3 hours before. It was
Oh,
right
wow.
after your sound check. I was just hanging out with everybody talking.
Yeah, we typically sound check around 3:30, 4 o'clock every day. And then
Okay.
there's the break from after show or after sound check to showtime. Typical showtime for us when it's us alone is 9 o'clock, usually.
Okay.
I'd
Okay.
say that, that's not hard and fast, but that's 90% of the time. And then, for example, when we're out of support, though, something like that, we're usually the 7:30 slot and we only do like a 50-minute set, as opposed to when we're alone, it's 75 to 90.
Yeah. Yep. A little longer.
So for the general rule of thumb, we're generally off stage by 10:30.
That's the
So
usual, I would say. By 11, the latest sometimes if it goes
yeah,
late, right?
yep,
Yep.
yep. It's
I
pretty easy.
noticed you did have an opener with you. Do you have a different opener for every like part of your tour usually,
You know what?
or every night?
I got to tell you honestly, I'm not a part of it. Like, they never talk to me about the openers.
Oh.
I know who they are when we get there.
Oh, okay.
And there's some nights where it'll be the same band 3, 4 nights in a row.
Oh, nice.
That will travel and follow us. And then there's other nights when it's a different band every night, and sometimes there's no support at all.
Oh, geez.
And
Like we
those are
thought we had an opener. We got to play longer tonight.
the
Better warm up. I did want to
yeah,
ask you warm ups because I mean, we got a guitarist in the building.
sure,
How did you start out? You mentioned you started at like 10 years old with
yeah,
lessons.
yeah. Because we were talking before we came on air. Yeah, I started at 10, and I've told this story a bunch of times. It just didn't take
Okay.
when I was that young. I wanted to do it, but man, I was a kid. You
You had to go
know,
play in the
you know,
streets.
if I wasn't on my bike riding BMX, I was
Yeah.
playing Legos or Planet of the Apes or Evil Knievel or watching Charlie's Angels or watching. I mean, that was me. There was just constant barrage of a million things I wanted to do at every second, and I did not at that time have the focus or dedication at all to
Yeah. I can
do it.
understand that.
And here's the deal too. Also, you know, just being an excited little kid that was pretty senseless about it, I wanted to play Ted Nugent and Aerosmith immediately, and you can't. You just can't. And
No,
I had
no.
some pretty. My first teachers were pretty stuffy, and there were these books called the Mel Bay Guitar Method,
That
which
that's
so
I still use that.
do you really? No, when I was a kid in the '70s, it was very stuffy.
Oh, it still is. Even I
Was
have
it?
one that says like Book of Rock. It is. It's not. It still has like all that stuff in
Yeah.
there that you want
So
to fall
it
asleep.
just wasn't. It just I wasn't there at the time, and then when I was 13 is when it really started to like pow. The minute I learned bar chords,
Was
went
there guitar tabs back then? I'm not sure when they.
guitar tabs didn't start until about '86. Would you say?
Okay.
Okay, right when like, do you remember? Because Guitar Player and Guitar World were the magazines when I was a kid. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
the first magazine I remember with tablature was Guitar for the Practicing Musician,
Okay.
and that was Tab, and I was just like, wow, what a game changer.
Hmm.
So that's what I remember. I would say between 83 and 85, and I'm guessing here is when tab kind of made its way to me.
Can you still read music, or did you always kind of pick it more up by ear and just listening to it 1,000 times? Or
I can read very basic.
yeah,
I learned everything by ear.
yeah,
Everything. That's how I learned was just rewinding cassettes, rewind. I mean that was it.
yep,
And
yep.
then when tab picture, of course, that helped a lot.
It's
So
it's a complete game changer, but there's certain things that are missing from tabs too, which now I think they write them a
that's
little
what
bit better.
they do.
Um,
Do you remember who? I don't know if you know this. You know who one of the original transcribers for tab was for Guitar for Practicing Musician was Steve Vai.
oh well, he's a brain.
He talked about
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
I remember reading years later after I'd been using it that wasn't aware that a lot of the stuff that I was probably trying to learn was transcribed by Steve.
I wouldn't doubt it because I just finished my rock guitar certification at Berkeley,
Oh,
and
congrats!
it tough. I mean, I played. I don't want to play that much ever again.
Yeah.
um, Steve Vai has his own course in there now, and it's rated 4+. So you can only go up to 4, and it's 4+. And I'm like, I'm not taking that course.
No kidding.
I took improv instead, which was awesome.
Oh, I bet. Did you see within the last year or year and a half that video that Steve put out after he had shoulder surgery and he was playing guitar with one hand?
I have not. No,
It's
no,
just when we get done here, go to YouTube or just Google Steve Vai one hand.
I didn't know
And
that. Oh, yeah, I'll have to.
I would say with definitely less than 2 years, but he had either a shoulder surgery or a hand surgery or something, and his whole arm was in a sling, and he was doing everything, a whole entire song with one hand, and it just made you want to break your guitar. Good.
Well,
He's
it's
a wit.
well, it's weird though. He's got specialized guitars that are cut. He goes, guitars are what do they call it? Not obsolete. I can't think of the word right now. Defective, let's say.
Oh, oh, oh,
Um,
oh.
because yeah, you know what I mean. He puts his own. His neck is not a guitar neck. He's got his own cuts in there, and the wood shifts and all that kind of stuff. Like to me,
He's
it's to balance his hand to the way he plays.
yeah. There's some God, the guy's name escapes me right now, but there's a really good interview that's out there more than a couple times of Eddie's tech, and Eddie's hands were so strong
Yeah.
that they had to give him a guitar that wasn't in tuned, but it wasn't tuned conventionally. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. Thicker
Like,
strings too, probably.
well, like B, like for example, I'm just making stuff up. Like the high B and the high G string would be one would be tuned sharp, one would be tuned flat, because when he grabbed, that's how the guitar would be in tune. It's just those guys were just so
Wow,
hot.
that's pretty strong, man.
Look that up as well. You know what? When you have Jeremy's number two, we get done. Just text him, say, "Hey man, who was Ed's tech that did that interview?" He'll know what I'm talking about.
He's like the encyclopedia of music. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe it. He's like,
yeah,
no, it was this place, man. I guarantee it.
yeah.
He's
He is.
awesome. Yeah.
But people like Ed and Lukather and Steve and everybody were just so other level, man. It's insane how.
I don't how do you circle a note? He talks about that. He goes, I don't bend, I do circles. I'm like, I still cannot figure that out.
Like I said, man, he's a witch,
Yeah.
Steve.
So a
It's just
warlock of music.
a nice witch.
Yeah, I mean to have your own course too in Berkeley, it's like and it's rated 4+, and I was like,
Yeah,
you,
that's amazing.
no way, that's like too much pressure on you. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. No,
Oh,
he's insanely good. I love him. We had the same manager.
oh
For
okay. Well, there you
a
go. Well, you can ask him about the Berkeley course then,
Oh,
how hard it is. He'll probably say
certainly.
it's not
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
I'll be like, I didn't take it, so I mean,
I,
we went through Steve Vai, we went through Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton. I think Eric Clapton's really tough to play. He's got like a unique style that I'm just not used to hitting those the timing and the notes and the way he
yeah,
bends things and
I know, man. No, I know. It's just insane. And someone else who was like that, 3 months ago, I was front row center for Jeff Beck.
Oh yeah,
When he was on tour, it was a double bill with Beck and ZZ Top.
yeah,
And I mean, that's the third time I'd seen Beck. It was my favorite time I'd ever seen Beck. When we left, we were just like, and I'd never been that close to him playing. It
yeah.
literally was front row center. And
See,
uh man, just not knowing then what we know now, uh man, talk about being so glad that I went.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
what a
bet.
star that guy was. It's just
There's some staples top 10 guitarists of maybe all time, and he's definitely up there.
oh, for sure.
Randy
I agree.
Rhoads and
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody.
Oh yeah, Rhodes was great. Yeah. I love all that stuff.
Rhoads, I don't know. It's like between him and Zach Wild, if you put them together, that's kind of what I liked because the CD, we had burned CDs
Yep.
when I was young, and the guy burned Blizzard of Oz and whatever the record was that Zach was on. I can't remember.
Mhm.
But it
Well,
was both of them. I listened to Randy first, had no idea that was a different guitar player, and then all the other songs came
yeah.
together. And I'm
You know,
like,
something that I really like, because Zach's first two records with Ozzy were No Rest for the Wicked, that had Miracle Man and Crazy Babies and all that stuff, and then the next one was No More Tears. So
yeah, I love that one.
those two records are back to back. I would have to venture that my favorite Zach record with Ozzy was No More Tears. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But it's no secret, and it's been like widely reported, interviews with Zach, that he was a Randy Rhoads freak.
Mm.
Just, I mean, he was an absolute Randy freak. So that being said, both of them being just Les Paul guys and everything, something that's a lot of fun is to go revisit the Live and Loud record that Ozzy did.
Yeah, yeah, I did own that one. It was
That was
all
the that was the No More Tears tour, which was advertised as his farewell tour. He was retiring. Okay.
oh, okay.
But that was the No More Tears tour, and they called it No More Tours.
Oh
That
geez.
the concert DVD and CD is called Live and Loud, and it's really cool to go on there and hear Zach perform all the Randy stuff.
Yeah, it kind of sounds has that tone that he did too then. And then
Yeah,
like you said like No More Tears, it kind of goes off from that and it starts to really dial in on the sounds. The
yeah,
production work on that record I think is a lot better
it is.
than the other one.
Agreed. Sonically, they're just such different animals. I mean,
Yeah.
man, I mean, just the records themselves,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way they were recorded and stuff.
It's funny with Ozzy's stuff. I don't know if you ever notice. I don't think any of the records of the drums were recorded the best compared to other bands. I was like, his drums are very
Yeah,
I don't know. They're just
yeah,
not it's all about guitars, put it that way.
it totally was. I
Yeah.
know. No, I know. But man, those are some. So those some good. And, just talk about somebody who just had that thing for plucking guitar players, like Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
Jake, man, go listen to that "Bark at the Moon" record.
Oh yeah. That was one of my
Uh,
favorite riffs too.
Fierce, just fierce. And for him to go from having Rhodes, Jake, and then Zach, man, I mean, just what great guitar players he introduced all of us to.
Yeah. I wish Randy was around now. I would ask him if Crazy Train riff was derived from John Carpenter's Halloween because it is the same exact starting
No,
melody.
that I never know. Now I'm gonna have to go check that out when we're done here.
Yeah, the same those first notes when he's playing it, it's how you play Halloween too. And if you keep
Really?
playing it, it's Halloween.
We're talking about the movie, right?
Yeah, the movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the
yeah. I know
soundtrack.
exactly what you're talking about.
And
Man,
Ozzy with the horror stuff, maybe he said throw in something like that. I don't know,
yeah.
change the
Uh,
key.
I can still remember the first time I heard that in junior high. Just like, what is? It's just. I mean, there was nothing like that
Yeah,
at
no.
that when that came out. Yeah, that's awesome. It's so cool.
So many other things.
Uh, uh,
So we got
uh,
Ryan Cook here on Palangi's Studio of Rock. Wherever you're tuning in out there from, because we broadcast all over the place. It's a UK radio station, which a lot of times I forget because I'm in upstate New York. But we reach everybody. It's people in Australia and whatever. And then all the social media stuff and Facebook stuff will be uploaded,
great,
gradually. So if you guys
great.
follow us on YouTube, I do it in steps because first you hear the audio version of this, and then there's
Okay,
the YouTube version, and people that miss that, and then it starts the social media. Nowadays, you can't just throw everything out at once because
got it.
everyone will see it all at once, and then it'll just go away. So I'm just
You
like, you're gonna remember this. Boom, boom, boom.
That's great. Oh, that's great. See, I'm
Try to.
learning stuff here.
Well,
That's
there's
awesome.
different audiences. I know on my personal Facebook, there's different people than on Radio Wigwam's Facebook.
No, I get it,
So
and I understand how people are partial to certain to viewing and listening to certain things. Some people like to watch stuff. Some people like to just listen to a podcast. Some people like, so
yeah.
that's cool that you're covering all the platforms. That's great.
Yeah, so I always tell this is a video interview, but I'm going to take our audio and it's going to be on the radio and then, the
Yeah,
rest, which all the reruns too, folks, you can listen to on Mixcloud. And we play a lot of times reruns too, a lot. It'll air 4 times during the week that this airs. And,
great.
you never know. When I don't feel like doing the show for a week, I usually replay an interview.
There you go. That's great. It's like television.
Pretty much. So
Play the reruns.
it's cool. I know before we go, we're talking about a little bit of movies.
Yeah.
You watched the Weird Al documentary. I watched that too. It is the most unique version of somebody's story I've ever seen.
But you know what's so funny? I saw the ad for it, right?
Yeah.
And I just made a note. I'm gonna have to check that out at some version at some
Yeah.
point.
It looks serious to me. I was like, oh,
Well,
this is serious.
I first saw the poster, I thought it was a true to life documentary. I didn't know it was a mockumentary.
Yeah.
But now that it is, it's like, well, duh. I mean, doesn't that mean that he would do that? I mean, that's what his life is making fun of stuff and being really fun and entertaining. And
Yes.
but here's something that I will tell you, and you may know this, you probably do, but people listening might not. There was a period a couple of years ago where Phil Jeremy and I were asked to play with Rick Derringer.
Okay.
So we went and backed him up. We were his backup band
Yep.
for a very short set. And during that day and afternoon, we got a lot of time to visit with him. We hung out on the bus and, just talked and everything. He produced those first Weird Al records. Rick Derringer, who did Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo.
Okay.
Who I would never in a million years would have dreamed that was a Rick Derringer project.
No,
And
I've never actually heard anybody talk about any of his producers or engineers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because Rick had told us when he first did it, as successful as they were and doing well, he kind of for a moment regretted it because he said he felt personally that everyone in the industry was looking him in a different light now as someone who just did, joke parody things. And he felt like it took away from the seriousness of him being,
A producer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're making records that are sounding, I mean, I know it's mocking, but it's supposed to sound like the real song still, even though it's a little different.
And he felt like he was getting judged by the content of what he was working with rather than the merit of the work he was doing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure some mailbox money and some checks that finally arrived made that pill okay to swallow, though.
Yeah, it's like 30 years later ironed itself out with the whole him and the Michael Jackson song. And like people don't know that Weird Al's up there with the Beatles with his songs in the charts. Nobody knows this really. Nobody even mentions it. They're always like Michael Jackson and the Beatles. I'm like, Weird Al is actually like the top 3 artists I think to ever sell stuff.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But
Cannot
no,
believe it.
but it was I was
Bet you he owns his own publishing now.
Oh yeah. No, I was pleasantly surprised though, because it was so funny. And for anybody who's going to watch it, there's a pool scene where every major iconic artist, except for Kiss, actually, which surprised me because they had someone who looked like Alice Cooper.
Yep.
They
Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman, Elton John. I'm forgetting again a lot of the major players that were
That comedian with the raspy voice, Jack Black.
Andy Warhol, Wolfman Jack.
Yep.
You know, Jack Black as Wolfman Jack was really funny.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Madonna is his love interest. Really,
she's like the evil kind of person too, sort of.
That was great.
Oh.
I enjoyed it. It's really good.
Man, yeah, definitely check out that movie. I really liked it because it's something different. Because I had just watched the Queen one and like the Elvis one, and I was expecting it to be a regular actor's movie.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, this is so much different.
Yeah, and then the guy that played Al. Oh my God,
I did not expect him. You know, Harry Potter.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez,
he's really good.
He played a psycho too in a movie. I was like, that's kind of interesting.
Did he really? I haven't seen that one. I gotta check it out.
I don't remember what it was. I think it was one of those the time he was doing some indie stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I'll have to look for it.
But so I'll let you get back to rehearsing with you're going back on tour with Ace. What's really quick some future plans for you, and we'll see what's going on down the road.
Yeah, we're leaving day after tomorrow. We've been off since I think December 15th was our last show at 22.
Yeah.
And then we're off then until tomorrow. That was our break. We were gone through Christmas. We were off in all of January. We leave Wednesday, February 1st. Our first show back is in Bristol, Tennessee. I heard that it was about 100 tickets shy of a sellout, which means it'll sell out. And then the 3 after that are already sold out.
Wow.
So our first 4 shows back will be sellout shows, which is a really nice feeling. Then we're off for just a few days, 4 days. We come home, and then we all fly to the West Coast, Northern California, and we'll be touring California for over 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we're gone pretty much the entire month of February.
Cool.
And just looking at our calendar, the way it goes for people who don't know, your agent starts filling in dates for the upcoming year, right? So every week you look and you're like, oh, we're going to be here, we're going to be here. Right now I've seen we're already booked sporadically up into July.
Just for Ace?
Yeah. So that'll fill in. We typically tour into December, So like now we're just in that point where we just wait to see how the calendar fills up, but knowing that it will fill up. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Keeps you busy.
It does. I love it. Yeah.
And you never know,
Yeah, we actually changed the set a little bit, added some new stuff that we've never done with Ace, some Frehley's Comet stuff and that kind of thing. So when we were talking earlier about me rehearsing, I'm just kind of, doing some last minute, like I said, you got to do your homework. You can't wait till the sound check to learn the song. So
brushing up. You got to brush up.
Yeah. So I'm just brushing up and getting ready for Wednesday, and I can't wait, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, man. Well, anybody out there sees Ace Frehley on tour, Ryan will be with them, as well as our other guests from Derek and Jeremy, and you might meet David, the drum tech here someday. Yep. And he plays with Aaron Lewis too, which is really cool.
Jeremy and I live in Nashville.
Okay.
And David lives in Nashville. He's closer to an area called Clarksville.
Okay. I've only been to Nashville.
Okay.
But.
Yeah, I'm south of Nashville a little bit, and Jeremy's in the east part of Nashville, and David, like I said, is in Clarksville, which I would say is probably about 50 minutes from here, something like that.
Okay.
But see everybody on Wednesday. We'll all be back together. This is our first time since December.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to look out, see if you guys come back either to Hudson Falls or somewhere else local. Yeah,
and you're always welcome.
All right, I appreciate that. You guys are really cool to hang out with because a lot of times they're like, I ain't talking to anybody, and you know what I mean.
Oh no, we love to hang.
I'm like an informational sponge. I love hearing stories. It's not just the radio stuff. I did radio in college, and the guy that was on this program actually passed away,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, we need a rock DJ, and I was like, oh, I don't know, man. You know,
Yeah,
the interviews are a little different, but
but look, you're great at it. It's awesome.
well, I appreciate that. I don't want to do because I've did the ones where they just ask those questions and you're like, I just want to have a chat with somebody.
No, I love it, and it's comfortable and it's great. You're really good at it, and I've been on the receiving end of some of those other ones you've talked about, and it's not always fun.
Yeah, yeah. And you're like, it's lunchtime yet? Do I have my six shake here going on?
Yeah. I gotta get that six shake in.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I do like shakes, so I'll have to look that up.
We can talk about that off air. I'll tell you where I got everything.
All right, we'll give that a plug.
Okay.
Ryan Cook, everybody. Ace Frehley, make sure you check them out. Palangi Studio of Rock. Thanks, guys, very much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.